The sun was setting over the small town of Willow Creek, casting a golden glow over the train station. John, a devoted husband and father of two, stood on the platform with his wife Sarah and their children, Emily and James. They were headed to visit John's parents in a nearby town, a weekend getaway they had been looking forward to for weeks. As they boarded the train, John couldn't help but feel a sense of excitement. The kids were bubbling with energy, and Sarah was looking forward to a relaxing trip. They found their seats and settled in for the journey. As the train chugged out of the station, John gazed out the window, watching the scenery roll by. The kids were playing with their tablets, and Sarah was reading a book. Everything seemed perfect. But as the hours passed, John began to feel a creeping sense of unease. The train was taking a detour, and the conductor's announcements were becoming increasingly vague. The kids were getting restless, and Sarah was trying to soothe them. Suddenly, the lights flickered, and the train slowed to a stop. The conductor's voice came over the intercom. "We're experiencing a delay. Please remain calm." John's instincts told him something was wrong. He looked around, noticing that the other passengers were growing restless. The kids were getting scared, and Sarah was trying to reassure them. As the minutes ticked by, John heard strange noises coming from the front of the train. Whispers, creaks, and groans echoed through the cars. The kids were crying, and Sarah was trying to comfort them. John stood up, determined to find out what was happening. He made his way to the front of the train, where he found the conductor pale and shaken. "What's going on?" John demanded. The conductor hesitated. "I don't know. We've been experiencing strange occurrences, doors opening and closing, strange noises. I think we're not alone on this train." John's blood ran cold. He knew they had to get off the train, but it was too late. The train lurched forward, and the lights went out. As the family huddled together in the darkness, they heard the sound of footsteps, heavy and deliberate, coming from the back of the train. The kids were screaming, and Sarah was trying to shield them. John knew they had to escape. He grabbed his family and made a run for the door. But as they reached the platform, they saw something that made their blood run cold. The train was in a tunnel, and the walls were covered in strange symbols, pulsing with an otherworldly energy. The air was thick with an eerie presence, and John knew they were not alone. As they stumbled through the darkness, the family heard the sound of the train's horn, blowing a mournful tune. They knew they had to keep moving, but the tunnel seemed to stretch on forever. Finally, they saw a glimmer of light ahead. They stumbled out of the tunnel, gasping for air, and found themselves in a deserted station. The train was gone, vanished into thin air. The family was left shaken, but alive. As they looked around, they saw a sign on the station wall, "Welcome to Ravenswood." John knew that their journey had taken a dark and sinister turn. They had entered a world of horror where the living were not welcome. As they stumbled through the deserted streets, they knew they had to find a way out of Ravenswood before it was too late. The family of four walked in silence, their hearts heavy with fear. They knew they would never forget the terror they experienced on the train and the horrors that lurked in the shadows of Ravenswood.